Hi, my name's Ariana, and today I have with me Miss Marcella David. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. You have been recognized as an African American history maker in Iowa City. How do you feel about that?
I'm a little surprised and humbled because I know that this is a community. Well, first I'm surprised because I've only been here about 15 years, which seems like a short period of time. And I'm also humbled because I know there's a long history of folks who have lived in this community and done really wonderful things. And I'm just a little surprised to be in their company.
Okay. Where were you born at?
I was born in New York City, so I grew up not too far from Shea Stadium. We're the home of the Mets, so where tennis is played, all those kinds of wonderful things.
What made you come to Iowa City?
I came to Iowa City to work at the University of Iowa. I'm a professor in the law school, and it's a great law school, and it was a place where I thought I would be able to succeed. I met with the colleagues and visited and thought that Iowa City would be a comfortable place for me to live. And like many other people, I thought I'd just stay here, for a few years and move on. So I'm a little surprised to still be here, as I said, going into my 15th year, but it's been all of those things that I expected it to be.
Okay, so you study law?
I studied law. I studied at the University of Michigan, so I was familiar with Iowa through the Big Ten, and had lived at least somewhat in the Midwest. I think Michigan's very different from Iowa and Iowa City, but in some ways there's similarities in the way people think, and so it was one of the reasons why Iowa was appealing enough for me to come and interview, and then Iowa and Iowa City sold me on the rest of it.
Okay. What made you want to study law?
Ooh. When I was a little girl, there were things that were happening on the news, and my area of scholarship is international law. And so on the news, I used to see about the conflict between the Arabs and the Israelis, and I also saw about what was going on in South Africa, and I said, oh my goodness, I don't understand. And I'd say to my parents, isn't there a law against these kinds of things happening, and can we stop people from treating each other this way? And they said, we don't know, but maybe you should go to law school and find out. So I went to law school.
Okay. How did they feel about that when they found out you were actually pursuing that?
I think they were really pleased because it made me happy, and it was fulfilling. Not everybody has the opportunity to work in a job where they're really excited by what they do. And I was really excited by studying the law. I used to I'd think about the law all times, walking down the street, I think about the law, or watching television, I think about the law, because it surrounds us.
Right.
And if you have that opportunity to do something like that, and get paid for it at the same time, that's a wonderful thing. And so I think my parents were happy about that.
Has there been one person in particular that supported you a little more than others, or that you think is like a little bit more proud of you for doing what you're doing?
Oh, well, both of my parents have died, so certainly they were big cheerleaders for me. I have some friends who are friends from law school and friends who are friends from college, and we're still very close, and they're people that I get on the phone with, and they cheer me on when things are tough, and I do the same for them. But once you lose your parents, I think you lose your biggest cheerleaders, or at least that's my case.
What's the biggest accomplishment that you've made or had, or something that you still want to achieve from doing this?
Well, that's a really good question. That's a tough question. I have lots of things that I'm always trying to achieve on a personal level and a professional level. On a professional level, I think something that's very important to me is access to the law school. So trying to make sure that people from all over, from different backgrounds, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, rich kids, poor kids, kids who've had lawyers in their family for years and years, and kids who grew up in welfare, and they're the first person in their family to go to college, let alone think about going to law school. That we have access and we're able to help them succeed. And I'm proud of the fact that the law school, if we invite you to be a student, most of our students graduate, and that's something I'm proud of, but it's something I like to see us continue and expand on.
Okay. I noticed that you did a lot of traveling to different places. What took you to those different places? What was the reason for going?
That's another good question, and it's complicated. I like international law because I like learning about different people and different culture, and so the travel sometimes goes along with that. But I also love to do things like photography and go to places and see things and take pictures. So that's part of it as well. But mostly I like to go to some place and have a chance to be there long enough to just learn about a different culture or learn about a different system or learn about a different way of doing things or eat different food or things of that. You see different kinds of art. So those are some of the reasons why I've traveled to some of the places I've traveled. And sometimes I've been able to combine it with work, and even if it's not work, it's fun.
Did you have a favorite place out of the places that you've been? I noticed you were in Cambodia and Australia and Thailand.
They're all wonderful places for different reasons. Cambodia was a place that was a very different place from other places that I'd traveled to. And so that was really interesting, getting to see a little bit of Cambodia and get to know people there a little bit. Australia and New Zealand it was great for different reasons. I mean, it was a vacation, so it was kind of fun. But it's a beautiful place, and I was with people and we were enjoying ourselves. So that, I mean, you have different reasons for going. Probably the place that I've been the most to is England.
Okay.
When I was a student in college, I spent a year there, and it's a place where I still have friends, and I go back, and it feels like a home to me. So it's a place that it's almost a second place for home, and that's comfortable, which is a different reason for traveling, is to go someplace and just relax and feel comfortable and do favorite things, and that's another good place for me.
When you were in England, did you notice any major differences between being there and being here?
Oh, there's lots of differences. The first time I went to England was a very long time ago, and actually it was when Jesse Jackson was running for president. Wow. And yes, that means I'm old. And it was really interesting to see how people in England were thinking about the United States at a time that we were thinking about the election and how things were going forward. And I think that our perceptions of ourselves and the way others look at us are very different, and that was an interesting thing to see. It was just how people look at the U.S. and how we look at the U.S.
When you were younger, did you think that you wanting to study law when you're older would actually happen?
I did. I took a law course when I was in junior high school, and we had a mock trial competition, and I was the lead lawyer, so I was like Ben Matlock, and so I enjoyed it, and everybody said, oh yes, you should definitely do that. So I never really had a doubt that I would study law. I studied other things as well, because law is a course of study you can take with different majors. So first I studied engineering, and that was great because I had a math background and I had done a lot of math and science in high school. So I studied that first, and that was a very rewarding course of study, but not as wonderful as law was.
Okay. If you didn't get into where you are now, do you think there's anything else that you would have tried to pursue or study in?
I wish I were brave enough to be a singer. I could sing a little bit, but I'm not brave enough to say, okay, I don't need a regular job, I'm just going to be a singer. I don't have that kind of courage. And I wish I could be a writer, because I like to read a lot of mysteries and other kinds of books, and it would be great if I were brave enough to do that. And I'm really excited about photography, because even unlike being a writer or being someone who sings for a living, I could take my camera with me anywhere and take photos and share them. And that's something that I will be able to do in the long run. Right. And so I try and have opportunities to practice and make my skills a little better.